Lesson 1.2c, what is volume and how do we calculate it? So by the end of this mini lesson, you'll be able to define volume. You'll be able to calculate the volume of a cube or any kind of object that has a formula. At least you'll be familiar with it, but you'll definitely know how to find the volume of a cube. And then you'll be able to calculate the volume of something using water displacement. And your vocab words are volume and water displacement. So write down anything that's in red. So recall that matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. We've learned examples of matter. You have learned what mass is. Now we're talking about what is this takes up space? What does this mean? So what does it mean to take up space? So basically it means volume. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. So how do we calculate volume? Well, there are two ways to calculate volume. The first is measuring using a ruler. That's with an object that has a nice shape like a cube or a cone. Or you can measure using water displacement. So how do you measure using a ruler? Well, for a cube, you multiply the length times the width times the height. So length times width times height. So let's look at an example. So if we look, the length is 2 centimeters, the height is 2 centimeters, and the width is 4 centimeters. So step by step, here's that formula again. Length times width times height equals volume. So length is 2 centimeters, height is 2 centimeters, and the width is 4 centimeters. So if we multiply those, we get 16 centimeters cubed. All right, we do centimeters cubed because we multiplied 3 things that have centimeters. So there's other shapes have different ways to calculate it, right? Because not everything's going to have a simple length, a simple width, and a simple height. So you don't have to memorize any of these. I'm just kind of showing them to you. So depending on the shape, they have different ways to calculate the volume. All right, now how do you measure using water displacement? Well, it's kind of like what the word sounds like. You're displacing or moving water. So you use a graduated cylinder and you measure how that water level changes. So first you measure the water level. So before you put anything in it, you can see we're at 150 milliliters. Next, you place the object in the water. Because that object takes up space, it's going to move the water up. So let's look at that again. So beforehand, it was at 150, and watch, the water moves up. Okay, so now you measure the new water level, and that's 175 milliliters. Then what you do is you subtract the second water level from the first level to find the volume. So the second water level, right, is 175. Here it is the second one, the rock's in there. And the first water level is 150 milliliters. So you subtract 175 from 150 and you get 25 milliliters. But we convert that to 25 centimeters cubed, right? That's just like what we did with the length times the width times the height. That's just the unit of measurement we use. So this works really well for objects like a rock, right? That doesn't have a nice clean cube shape or cone shape. It's a pretty quick and easy way to measure volume, which y'all will get to practice when you get to the lab portion. So just in summary real quick, volume is the amount of space an object takes up, and there are two ways to calculate that volume. You either measure using a ruler and using those formulas, or you can measure using water displacement.